Small is a movie that fits the mold perfectly for fall of 2022. There's been some really good horror movies that have come out this season, including a movie called The Black Phone, which was written and directed by Stephen King's son, a movie called Pearl, which was actually a prequel to a movie called X that came out earlier this year, and a movie called Barbarian, which is slowly becoming kind of a cult classic. Of all those movies, Smile's the best one. It's the one that's been marketed the best. It's the one that's going to make the most money. It's going to make over $100 million domestically, which is fabulous for a horror movie in 2022. It's one that you want to see in the theater, either with a group of all kinds of crazy screaming people, or even by yourself. It could even be scarier. It stars an actress named Sosie Bacon, who's been around for about 10 years, but this is the first time that I've heard of her, and it's her first time leading a movie. And it's written and directed by Parker Finn. This is the first movie that he has written or directed. It's kind of like The Ring. It's kind of like It Follows. It's kind of like the 1998 movie Fallen with Denzel Washington. If you like any of those or all three of those, you're going to like this movie. It's most similar to The Ring, and that's the one that most people have seen of those three movies that I've listed. Bacon plays Dr. Rose Carter. She is a psychiatrist in a psychiatric ward at a local hospital. And one of her shifts, she goes and there's a PhD student in a room who's kind of going nuts. So Rose goes into that room and starts talking to this student, and she says, "I'm seeing things, you know, I'm not crazy. I'm a PhD student myself. Like, I'm not insane. It's been happening since the last 4 days. 4 days ago, she saw one of her university professors bludgeon himself to death with a hammer in front of the whole class. And since then, she's been seeing things. She's been seeing people, but they don't always look like people. Sometimes they look like people that she knows. Sometimes they don't look like people that she's ever seen before. And this entity, whatever it happens to be, won't leave her alone." And as Rose is trying to talk to her, all of a sudden this candidate goes insane, and she knocks over a table, and a ceramic vase goes cracking on the ground. What Rose does is she goes to the phone and calls for help. When she turns around, she sees this patient who has this massive, just kind of like smile like this. And all of a sudden, this patient has a shard of the vase that had fallen on the floor, and she slices her neck open and dies on the scene. And that's kind of our movie. Basically what happens is each time that somebody kills themselves, whoever watches it then is haunted with that demon, with that entity or whatever, and they have to do their best not to go crazy before they end up trying to kill themselves too, or I shouldn't say try, successfully kill themselves too. So it's kind of like this pattern, kind of like Fallen and everything like that. And it has this time frame on it, kind of like The Ring. There's some, Rose is great, and Bacon plays her extremely well. The other big players in the movie are her boss, Cal Penn. He's actually the only actor that I've heard of that's in this movie. Her fiance, her sister, her former psychiatrist, and then her ex-boyfriend, detective. And all of these people think that her symptoms, what she's saying, is neurological, like it's trauma. She has PTSD from a incident that she saw when she was a child, when she saw her drugged out mother kind of scream to her for help because she was dying, and a 9-year-old or 10-year-old Rose kind of didn't do anything, and the mom kind of died right in front of her. So there's some trauma there, and they're trying to say that it's based on that more than anything that is supernatural, anything like that. There are a lot of jump scares in this. It's not a true horror in the sense that it's definitely more psychological than your typical slasher film. Although it does have a lot of those moments, and there definitely are a lot of jump scares. What I like about it is the characters, all of them are extremely likable, especially the lead character who we are with throughout the film. It's engaging. It's a super easy movie to follow the story. And there's just enough jump scares to keep you on edge, to keep you guessing. The parts of it that I didn't like as much was it was fairly formulaic. Like, you kind of knew what was going to happen before it happened. You kind of knew how it was going to end before it ended. And even when it did end, it didn't really answer all of the questions. And it kind of alludes even into the movie that there could be a sequel. And let's be honest about it, this movie made over $100 million. It didn't cost very much to make, and there will be a sequel, and there will probably be multiple sequels, and they'll probably get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. But what The Ring did is it really put Naomi Watts on the map. I know she had Mulholland Drive before that, but The Ring is kind of, all of a sudden Naomi Watts is there, and all of a sudden later on she is, starring in movies like The Impossible and picking up Academy Award nominations and things like that. So I would recommend seeing it. I think it is a great movie to see in the theater. If nothing else, see it at home on the biggest screen you can. Keep it dark. Keep all the distractions away. Put your phone away, and I think you'll have a good time with it.